Hello, everybody, and welcome to our first SCM Blended Program Admissions webinar for the 2020-2021 admissions cycle. I'm Robert Cummings. I'm the Academic Administrator for the Supply Chain Management Blended Program. And with me,
hello, everybody. Welcome to our webinar. My name is Maria Jesus Saenz. I am the Executive Director of the MIT SCM Blended Master Program. And today we are gonna work through all the different elements of our program.
Yep, and just a little housekeeping tips. We have the chat open, so I'll be looking to my right over here. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, feel free to write them in the chat and we'll speak through them. And if we don't get to all of them at the very end, we'll cover any additional questions. So we will jump right in with the outline and go through the process. Okay, so this is our admissions webinar. And we will start with just a brief little outline of what we're going to go over. Oops, sorry. Click share. Where'd the rest of it go? Oh yeah, up here. Okay, so here is the our outline. We'll cover innovation and advancement, essentially why you want to choose MIT and our SCM program. Then we'll do an overview of the program itself, the curriculum, what you can expect in terms of classes. Then we'll be followed by the MIT experience, living here at MIT, working with the students. You'll be able to get sort of a sense of what you'll experience here. And then finally, we'll cover professional development and career services, followed by an overview of the application process, what you can expect during admissions, and tips for the admission cycle. And then finally, any last-minute questions that come up, we'll be happy to answer. So just first launching this whole endeavor is as an opportunity to create new pathways for non-traditional applicants. That was really our goal with this program, and I think we've succeeded well for the past 3 years. So now we're looking forward to our next class. Yeah, so we'll kick it off with Maria.
Yeah, so this program was designed just by MIT. Actually, we were the first blended program at MIT. And here you have different news highlighting different elements of our program, right? So first, MIT President Rafael Raif. Then in this picture, he speaks in front of our newly admitted blended students a couple of years ago when they arrived on campus in order to follow this blended program. They've just finished the MicroMaster program and they started their experience on campus. Also, we have here our alumni who finished last academic year in June 2019, Robert Rines, just for putting a relevant example of a student who decided to come here to MIT just for learning from the field, from experience. Actually, he left for this period of time, his work, for improving safety and quality of life for communities in Africa in order to, join us and to enhance his experience around humanitarian logistics. He did a great job. And on your right, here we have, the experience of our students in the MIT Global Scale Research Expo here in January of 2019, when the students shared their experience in research with executives. So this is just for providing an overall picture about what we are doing in our excellence program. So most of you maybe have finished your MicroMaster certificate. So then you are ready to apply to our MIT Blended Master Program. When, then you apply here November the 1st, that is the deadline, or maybe May the 1st, that is the second deadline for the second round. And then once you will be selected, you will join us in our program. Starting physically here in January, but before that, I will explain in a minute, we will be working with different activities. So typically, you will end up getting the MIT master degree. So then this is a picture, and then you can visualize yourself in front of our MIT dome. So let me highlight some important elements of our program. Typically, we are having 40 students in the blended program with an average experience of 8 years of supply chain management experience. So we can range from lower experience, higher experience, but just to give you, an idea of the caliber of our students in the class. Our program has been ranked #1 worldwide by Edu Universal Ranking in terms of the Supply Chain Logistics Master Program, considering all the different quality and excellent elements of MIT. You will enjoy all these, excellence and all our activities, entrepreneurship, also interaction with other programs in Boston, in Cambridge, here in the US. You will join our alumni network, MIT SCM alumni network. We are having more than 700 graduates who are now holding very top positions in the field of supply chain, CEOs, COOs, vice presidents, senior vice presidents, so who are really, really engaged with the MIT SCM alumni network. And also you will be able to interact with worldwide companies, right? So actually our graduates report that they have increased their salaries, or they have got new jobs thanks to our program. We will explain all these details right now, but this is in a nutshell. This is the summary of the main highlights of our program. So this is the team. So Robert and myself, we are in the first tier working with the student. Also Dr. Velasquez, who is the executive director of the SCM program, and Len Morrison, who will be working with our students for career development and all these professional development along your journey. And we have a very talented team of professionals, postdocs, experts in different research fields, also people who is working with us in marketing in order to promote our program. So then again, a very talented team of professionals who will be helping you through this, insightful journey. So in terms of, let me see, here we go, yeah. Also, we can enjoy a global network because, as you may already know, then we have different centers that are located all over the world who are replicating the same pattern of what we are doing here at MIT. Actually, Zaragoza Logistics Center in Spain, also they offer their blended master program, and also in Malaysia, MISI, they offer what we call the accelerated master program. You can take a look to the Scale website in order to learn more about all these programs. Then let's have a look now to the program itself. What are the different elements in our curriculum, courses, etc. What is the journey that you will follow? First, of course, you need to finish your MicroMaster certificate. So typically you will be in your third, maybe fourth online course, and then you are planning to follow this in order to take your final exam. Typically, maybe you have already finished this September, or maybe you are planning to take the exam in next March. So once you get your certificate, you will jump into the applications, and once you have been selected, then you will start our what we call the fall pre-work program. It means that during the summer, we are working with all the selected candidates. And then in August, we formally start the program. We start with this pre-work that you can see here. Typically, then you will complete an online edX Python course in order to be prepared for enjoying in January, enjoying more the coding with Python. Then you will start with the research project working remotely. both with your advisor or advisors, with the company who is going to sponsor your research, and also with your teammate. We have a couple of webinar series in order to guide you through the research project and also to start working on how to better communicate and write in English in a research SCM context. And also you will review the analytical material. Then after the winter break, typically the first week of January, you will jump into MIT campus. Then you will welcome you, and then you will start what we call the IAP program, right? Typically with the students coming from all the scale programs in January. So then we will have different activities. You will blend with the residential SCM students who started here physically in August, but then you will start working with them in terms of explaining your research project, in terms of different content, in terms of communication in SCM. You will also follow a different speaker series with the top professionals from the field will share their challenges and their different insights with you. And then you will end up in January, so at the typically end of January, what we call the research expo, when you will expose the work you have been doing with your research project in front of the executives and your mates and different as professional associations who will join us MIT campus in a very, very special event. So once we will finish the January IAP, then we will start the spring term. It means that you will decide your academic path. So will you design your different electives in order to focus on the more interesting topics for you, right? The idea is that you will start taking classes here at MIT, in Sloan, or even in some cases you can, follow some course in Harvard, right? So then you will follow the study track. This year we will go to San Francisco, we will go to Panama Canal, and we will go also to Seattle in order to visit different retailer companies, very, advanced companies, in order to have their experiences, hands-on experience on the particular operations. And also we will join an alumni network, students that they finished and they are working there in this particular companies. You will also follow a customized career coaching in order to develop your professional career. And also, of course, you will continue working on your research project. So the idea with all these different blocks is just to develop experiential learning loops through different courses, different disciplines, along the different electives, also integrating all your knowledge from the MicroMaster along these different courses, and also another additional experiential learning loops through your research project, right? So you will focus on different topics that will be in your interest, that will allow you just to enhance your knowledge in supply chain management. So then you will end up, typically the end of May, with your MIT degree. So then you will be taking this picture in front of your dome, you will get your degree, and then you will, continue taking advantage of all the benefits of getting the MIT degree for your future professional career. In terms of degree, MIT degree, we have here two options. Actually, our SCM Blended program offers these supply chain master's degree options. First, that what we prepared for, right? It is a Master of Applied Science in Supply Chain Management. It's designed for students who want to take a job in the industry or even consultancy upon graduation. But also to those students that would like to focus a little bit more on research, or maybe to continue and pursue a PhD degree, then we can also customize a little bit the program, what we call the Master of Engineering Supply Chain Management. Just let me to highlight that our program is better prepared for the Master of Applied Science Supply Chain Management. But those particular students that would like to customize a little bit, then we can, think about the Master of Engineering. This is our curriculum. You can take a look in our website, but then first, take your MicroMaster, finish your MicroMaster with the online classes and comprehensive exam. Then apply, then you will have our pre-work, as I have already explained, with research, a project assignments and deliverables from August till the end of December. And then we will have the residential part here at MIT, what we call the IRP in January, with all these subjects, writing communication, then Python programming, and then the course on leading global teams, leadership workshops, continue working on research project. Then we'll have opportunities to complement with, for example, the Yamasoft certificate. And in the spring, you will take 5 additional subjects, financial analysis, advanced writing, data science and machine learning, public speaking, and the study track. Again, we will close the research project with further development. You will end up with your research project. And of course, then you will take 2 required electives and potentially optionally then some additional electives, right? This is the idea.
Yep. And one relevant question from
Yes.
our audience came in just regarding the distribution of grades. So it's worth mentioning that your MicroMaster's grade does not directly impact your on-campus GPA. So your MicroMaster's performance, that is used for our evaluation towards the application. And then once you get here, essentially it resets and you start with a new GPA once you're here on campus. So yeah, they have 2 different goals in mind, so they don't impact each other.
Yeah, but try to do your best with your MicroMaster degree. Grades, just to be able to apply. But there is not a threshold of MicroMaster grade. So you can apply, once you have finished.
Yeah. And we'll cover some more tips at the end.
So 90 units in total. So yeah, in terms of the research project, we have included here one example from last year. This research project was awarded as the best project awarded among the residential and the blended, research projects. The idea was just to conduct a study about how then different models for drone delivery, especially in last mile delivery, right? So the idea is that the students then analyze different last mile delivery context in order to be able to state the problem about the optimal design and operational performance for different drone delivery models. Here we have 4 particular models. One, for example, number 1, pure drone delivery system, and then in 2, 3, 4, they combined different systems for drone delivery together with truck delivery, right? And then they analyzed the different models. Actually, they developed a cloud-based solution using some memetic algorithm in order to optimize these delivery routes in the last mile, right? So they develop a platform in order to visualize even the different models, right? Combination of modes. And then they realize that with the model, one of the models, about the number 4 in this case, they were able to cover 100% of the delivery and even reducing the minimum tour time as high as 80%, right? So then great results. They were able to demonstrate, they were able to apply and to quantify the different insights and the different models in a very, very, advanced and innovative concept of combination of drone and truck delivery, right? So then it's a good example about what you can do in your research proposal, right, before applying.
Yeah. So now I'll cover a little bit of the MIT experience and you can see what to expect from your time here on campus and what we have to offer. So first, no slide or no presentation of MIT wouldn't be correct without first mentioning our connection to Boston and the surrounding area. MIT is a very urban campus located right in the heart of Cambridge, walking distance to Boston. which is a great city too to live in. It's one of the oldest cities in the US, many firsts, like the first public park, the first subway system in the US, the first beach in the US. So it really does have a lengthy history that you can always explore, and that we encourage our students to explore throughout their time here. MIT itself, often known for its engineering and science, but also has strong management programs, architecture, social studies, and humanities. So you really get a nice blend of student diversity with over 11,000 students from 127 different countries. It really is a great network, and still a little small campus feel because all of our campus is very contained, so it's easy to walk around, but really just a great experience overall. So with that in mind, why would you want to choose MIT? Obviously, you hear of MIT in rankings, often ranked #1 in the QS News World Rankings. We have over 89 Nobel laureates, National Medal of Science. The list goes on of really the level of awards and the impact that MIT has. Its mission is always to advance the education and science of technology, which is really rooted in our curriculum, which is really rooted in our program as well. We see our program as a sort of an extension of that mission because we're able to reach students who are across the world with the MicroMasters program, and then develop this opportunity for you to come on campus for a period of time. MIT's global impact has launched over 30,000 active companies. Many of our own students come back to recruit from our students for their companies as well. So we'll get to some of the impacts there of employment. Those companies then go on to employ over 4.6 million people, generating almost $2 trillion in revenue. And really, as an alumni network, if it was on its own, it would create the 10th largest GDP in the world, which is really astounding to think of that impact. There's also extensive new developments like the Steven Schwarzman College of Computing and AI. This commitment is really, really groundbreaking and will include computational studies and in all of our departments here at MIT.
And actually, yeah, here in our program, we are very aligned with this vision of MIT about the future of AI, and several elements will be working around that, especially in the supply chain management domain. Yeah.
Yep. So with that in mind, why choose the SCM Blended program of all the programs MIT has to offer? As we mentioned, the time away from your work, your family, and the time commitment is really minimal. There's only 5 months on campus from January through May. So we hope that it gives students the opportunity to sort of customize the program and have a really small experience that is impactful still. The cost is also significantly smaller compared to traditional MBA programs that go on for 2 years. The return on investment is really top-notch. This is going into our 4th year of our 4th class of the program. So we really have an extensive network of students, and the feedback has always been great in terms of recommending year on year. As I said, our students come back for hosting our treks, employment visits. We just had our alumni 20th anniversary of the residential program last year. So you really get to see the impact the students make and the connections that they make with one another. Some important factors that students have selected in our surveys of the reason why they choose MIT in our program. #1 is always the academic reputation and the department. I think that this is really paramount to what MIT has to offer. Really top-notch facilities, great researchers and faculty here that are able to guide you through your experience and really set you up in an ideal position for your next career move. The community of the department is also cited as a top area. Research, of course, is cutting edge, and then fit with research groups. The areas that we study, such as humanitarian supply chain, digital transformation, sustainability, they really resonate with students, so it really attracts them to complete their projects. And as we mentioned, ranked #1 by Ed Universal as well. I think several years in a row now.
Yeah.
Yep. So once you do join the class, what can you expect? We have a very diverse group of blended and residential students. This year we have 83 students in total. You can see from the backgrounds, I really like this graph highlighting the college majors that people come from. Very heavily engineering, as you can see, almost 50%, but the range is quite wide, from mechanical engineers, electrical engineering, computer science. So still a very engineering focus, which is why we are also hosted within the School of Engineering here at MIT. There's also strong background in business and finance. And then we still have a wide range of other disciplines. Over a fifth of the class comes from areas that don't fit into one of these categories. So you can really see yourself in any one of these areas. As we mentioned, we try to draw from a wide network of countries as well, so that students have a diverse experience, seeing students from Asia, the Middle East, Europe, South America, and of course, our students here from the US. It really has a nice cohesive network that you're able to sort of see the impacts around the world and see different perspectives that you may not have been able to experience. And our study track has then further explored that topic as well. So diverse backgrounds, experiences, and skills are really what we bring here.
Yeah, we also wanted to bring you here some of the experiences directly from our students. So with these pictures, we wanted to show you, again, these different experiential learning loops that we were mentioned before, right? Through, for example, in the orientation, where we are doing some team for cohesiveness. Also, we are working on creativity, on these, design thinking. But again, the idea is just to apply all the fundamentals that you have learned very well in your MicroMaster into different kind of contexts according to your interest, and then you can customize your path, right? So here's some of the quotes from our, students and now graduates from the blended program, right? So they value the content, bringing from an institution like MIT. Also, they value the alignment with the sponsor company, who is in some cases sponsored their tuition, right, in the from their previous job, right? All our classes are very applied, again, in order to have this experiential learning loop. So in the courses, we have executives that are coming to teach. We have tons of case studies. We have several, projects in each of the courses in order to be able to apply in groups, in order to take advantage of all this experience in supply chain management from the class itself, from the students in the class. Also, then the idea is just to include a little bit of complicated stuff, right? How different complex supply chains, how they can be deployed in a successful way. Integrating technology, integrating analytics, integrating also leadership, integrating organizational stuff, integrating optimization stuff, right? In order to be able to have a more holistic approach of supply chain. And also the culture of collaboration and feedback at MIT. Even this very competitive environment, the idea is just to collaborate among the different team members. So then the idea is just to be competitive through collaboration, right? So the class is who is gonna progress together, right? And then you will realize once you will be here, how strong bonds, strong links you will run with your mates in the class. It's a great experience, yes.
Yeah, and just also focusing on sort of the curriculum side and what you can expect on a day-to-day basis. With your MicroMasters experience, obviously you work at your own pace. With the program here, you'll select sort of a group of classes, up to 5 or 6 classes per term, or in your spring term. And you can expect to have class roughly 9 to 5, sprinkled in with different activities, working with your research project. But it really is basically Monday through Friday, you'll be busy with engaging with the students. So it is a full-time program experience.
Yeah, the engagement will be at different levels, right? So then you will engage within your blended class, but also together with the residential class that is gonna take the same degree than you, SCM, right? MIT SCM master degree. And then together with other students that will join the electives that you have selected. So again, the idea is just to have this cross-discipline approach, having and discussing with different people with different backgrounds, that will enrich your experience here at MIT, yeah. So here you have the experience of 4 of our graduates. So Vicky, she's working in Google. I mean, you know very well the company, California, very great experience. Mahat at Converse here in Boston, in the US, as lead of operations and planning. For example, in the case of Mahat, he conducted his research project in Converse, and thanks to this, the results of his project, he got a promotion within Converse, right? But also he was invited after finishing his degree, he was invited on a roundtable here at MIT about artificial intelligence and was promoted by our researchers, right? So again, he was engaged after his degree, right? He was engaging continuously, applying his knowledge and expanding his professional network here at MIT, being part of the alumni, right? Or Nate, he graduated this last June, in June 2019, and then he got an offer from Adidas as senior manager on order fulfillment process and analytics, right? And he wanted to share with us how this, blended experience transformed him in terms of his professional and personal development, right? With confidence and humility, right? Something that I wanted to share here, this typical, this kind of profiles here at MIT. And also Daniel, he graduated a couple of years ago, and then he's working Ahold Delhaize, is a, you will know here in the US as a Stop and Shop retailer, and then as director of supply chain R&D. When we are sharing with him, and he is also joining in our different events here. He's really glad sharing his experience after being graduated at MIT and how he's applying all this knowledge into his background. In terms of professional development, we typically divide between prior and after, joining physically here on campus. So prior means during the fall term, we are working with other students. We have a team led by Len about all these different, professional development experiences. So we work on the resume, cover letter, right? You will join the resume book. Yes, this book will be provided to all the on-campus recruiters who come here at MIT for your consideration, right? Also, we are working with Clifton Strengths Assessment to develop your talents and your strengths, right? But after joining us on campus, so it means in January, then we will leverage on all the previous work during the fall term with different kind of activities. So you will have your customized individual career coaching, interviewing preparation, depending if you are thinking about more in retail industry, or you are thinking about more the consultancy. So depending on your different interests, we will customize your interviews preparation and job search strategy with our experts here in our SCM program, but also at MIT. Also with companies that come to MIT just to recruit. So then you will work with them in order to follow your future job recruiting. In terms of professional development, whatever kind of career advising, again, at SCM or at MIT, and also get access to job posting. But it's important to highlight that also if you want to be recruited by a US company, then you should maybe think about the residential program versus the blended program, right? Because we wanted to highlight here that being here on campus only for 5 months, it means that you will not get access to the OPT, right? Of course, you can get access to the OPT if you combine these 5 more months at MIT with another kind of program in another university, for example, previous in the fall term or in the next fall term after your graduation at MIT, right? Then you will be able to get access to the OPT, right? So let's send us an email if you want to discuss more about this. So yeah, this is a nice picture about the last employment outcomes. So students, as you saw with Nate, they receive offers from Adidas, from Microsoft, from Google, from actually today, we are having these different representatives from Apple who are interviewing our students, but also our graduates received offers from Walmart or even strategy consultants like Alice Partners or KPMG, right? Just to name a few, or Amazon, Wayfair as retailers. Here on the left-hand side, you have the different positions that our graduates got. Or then you can again go to a new job, and also you can progress through your previous employer, right? In terms of our previous graduates reported that they have increased their salaries, they have got a promotion to higher roles, challenging roles, taking higher responsibilities. Also, they were leading some different tasks for innovation in their particular company. And in some cases, they reached more global, position, right? So this is another way of promoting your career after finishing your MIT degree with us. Huh?
Yes.
Yeah, let's jump into the application process, go into the details.
Yep, so thank you for all of you asking questions as well. Hopefully this section will cover many of the questions that are most common. So in terms of the application process itself, we have these areas of requirements. So that includes your MicroMasters performance, both the online classes plus the CFX exam. We don't have any stated minimum requirements, but we usually always say that successful applicants and the very best competitive applicants are above the 85th percentile section. So doing your best is always beneficial. In terms of IELTS and TOEFL English language requirements, we accept both exams for applicants. If you have strong English skills, whether you've received a degree from another university or lived in another country for several years, we will definitely consider a waiver of the requirements. Within the online application, you just check a checkbox and we'll consider that during the review process. The research project itself is a very big component of the application as well. This is where you summarize a 2-page proposal, essentially, that you propose to our admissions committee. Through this assessment, we are able to see that you're able to synthesize a project and put together the scope that we're looking for. It's both an exercise and potentially could be turned into an actual research project. So at the application stage, you don't need company sponsorship, but the more that you're able to put into this project, the better it is for us to review and understand and really take a really good assessment of that project. So it is one of the biggest components of your application that you should start early. Then we also have a video statement of interest. This is in place of the usual written statement. It's 5 minutes long, and we really do encourage you to stick to that limit and to address the prompts that we have within the online application and on our website. This gives us a great sense of why you want to join our program, what you're looking for long-term, and the components that you're hoping for. Then we have a resume, which will summarize your work experience. As a minimum requirement, we have 2 years of work experience. Often our applications come closer to 7 years of work experience or more, since we do have that non-traditional aspect. And then 2 letters of recommendation. And then finally, an undergraduate transcript. We don't heavily weigh GPA as a factor for the blended program, since we're using your performance in the MicroMasters, but we still want to see sort of the breadth of knowledge that you have taken up until this point. Yep. So now with the actual application system, MIT has developed their own GradApply system, as we call it, for you to apply. All of these components that we just mentioned are covered here, from your application information, personal information, the colleges you've attended. If you've had any sort of training programs or other, this is where you can include other online classes that you may have taken to just get a sense of what you've been doing. Your work experience, the most important part, your SC0X courses and letters of recommendation. So it's all pretty standard. If you have any questions, you can always feel free to email us at scmb@mit.edu, and I'm always happy to answer as soon as possible. And we'll cover the application deadlines as mentioned here in just one moment. So as a part of the application, we also offer fellowships and scholarship awards. We offer these awards both for merit and diversity. So that includes the Scale Scholars Award, so focused on different areas of transportation, logistics, really to seek the best students out there. We also have awards for women in supply chain management in order to really attract more talent and get women involved in STEM, which is a big mission of MIT's as well. We have the Blended Achievement Award. So this is for applicants who perform or who have excelled at the MicroMasters. So really the top performing applicants will be considered for this, this award. And then finally, our Lifetime Learner Award. So these are, as we mentioned, for those non-traditional applicants who have lengthy work experience and bring a lot to the program. We want to reward that with this award. All of these are considered automatically, just checking the box within the online application. And we really do try our best to extend these offers to everyone who's available. Yeah. Some general application tips, the components that we feel are the most important and the areas that take the most to develop and that you should focus on and that are really in your control. So the first one is the video statement. Since this is replacing a written statement, it really should be a concise summary of why you want to join our program, what you expect to get out of it, and how this will impact your career in the future. That really is sort of your interview with the admissions committee, because that is where we'll see you, we're able to get your understanding of what you're looking for. So that really is a major component that we take into consideration. The research proposal is both a great assessment of your ability to synthesize research and put together a defined problem. So that is really ensures that you're able to complete work independently and also remotely. That's a big component of our program. Since you're only here for 5 months, we want to make sure that in the summer you can really hit the ground running and start developing that research project. So that's why it's an important assessment tool that we use and that our admissions committee is very important.
Yeah, I would like to highlight here that the main element when we are reviewing the research proposals are like 3 big elements, right? First, an innovative concept that you want to apply. It's a research proposal, right? So the idea is that you take a look maybe to the CTL website in order to learn more about the research that we are conducting, in order to maybe to focus on one particular topic that you have learned in the MicroMaster, or maybe something that you are gonna apply in your company that is more innovative oriented, right? And then to describe it in the 2-page proposal. So then again, innovative element. Second, data. So then we are, a quantitative master program. So the idea is that you will be able to demonstrate and to prove your research questions through this quantitative methodology you are going to apply to the data. So you need to bring a realistic environment about data that is available, right? And third, something that is a real setting, right? So then if it's coming from your company or it's coming from, working with your suppliers in inter-organizational setting, right? Something that is a realistic environment that you can get access to. Don't invent, an idealistic, a proposal, right? So something that is real, right? That is bringing from a real setting. So these 3 elements, yeah.
Yeah. And the final tip here was your grades and experience. This obviously has a lot longer time to develop. And one question actually came in is what sort of average grades are we looking for, or is there any sort of cutoff? As you mentioned before, just completing the online MicroMasters is enough to apply. But as we said, grades above the 85% mark are usually considered the most competitive. So that is really the area that you can strive for. We had some questions about should I repeat a class if I don't think I've completed it to their satisfaction. It's definitely a path worth considering if you have the time, especially some of the SC0X class is the very first one, is strong in analytics. So if you're able to perform well on that one, it really serves as a beneficial indicator for us.
But don't limit yourself, right?
Yeah.
So then we are reviewing the application in a holistic manner, right? So then all these three elements are important for us, right? Your supply chain experience, tell us about why you are leading, what are your, innovative elements, right? And together, of course, with the MicroMaster degrees, but don't limit yourself.
Yeah. Some more questions are popping in here. That it's great. This is a perfect time. Letters of recommendation. We only require 2, as we mentioned. They can come from both professional or academic settings. Depending on where you are in your career, you may have more professional recommendations, which we fully understand, and those are weighed equally among both academic and professional. You can submit an additional letter of recommendation up to 5, but really they should be very concise of why you're submitting more and from different sources. So 2 is just a requirement, but more will be considered as well. And another question came up about sort of the eligibility window. So if you complete the MicroMasters, you have 3 years from the CFX to apply to our blended program. We would be in touch throughout the process with our email reminders of when the final cutoff is, so that it's very clear. But yeah, 3 years is what you can expect after you complete the CFX.
If you are ready to apply, yes, apply. Then we will review your application, and then we will show you now the different dates that we are going to follow. But if you are ready, yeah, we will encourage you to apply. Yeah.
And another question came up about experience. If you don't have a strong supply chain background experience, what are your thoughts, Maria, on people applying from different backgrounds looking to get into supply chain?
Then we have students that who their experience in logistics was, maybe limited, but they have been working in other areas that are very well related with supply chain. So, okay, then please apply. But then you should show how this experience is connected with supply chain management experience, right? Because then this is the idea, just to make a stronger, knowledge development on your supply chain base, right? In order to interact with your mates in the class. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's definitely not a negative, but you'll just have to clarify your goals for the program and why you want to get into supply chain.
So, but please don't limit yourself, apply, right? This is the best, way of doing your best for entering into the program. We encourage you to apply, don't limit yourself.
Yeah. So then just going over the application reminders and deadlines. So many of you will have taken the CFX exam in September. So we look forward to having those applications for the round 1 deadline. This year we created our deadlines sort of around the CFX exams, really taking that into consideration. And really it gives you the opportunity to get an earlier decision closer to the time frame that you've done the exam. So there's always benefits to applying in round 1, is that you can get that earlier decision when we are still shaping our class. Each year our goal is around 40 to enroll about 40 students. So if you start right at the beginning, obviously all of our space is open, so we can really consider the full profile of the student body that we're looking for.
Yeah.
So November 1st is that first deadline. We'll turn around the decisions within 3 weeks, and then before the end of the year, you would reply. Then there's sort of a waiting period, because we don't really begin the interaction process until the summer. So around July is when we would have our onboarding period and really get the program moving. For those applicants taking the CFX in March, you would apply before our round, what we call 3B. We have multiple rounds in between that also are for our residential students. So if you're considering applying to both blended and residential, you can do that. Our round 1 is synced, so applicants who are eligible now can apply to both and get a joint decision, which is really ideal. If you apply in later rounds, the decisions may not be synced, but our final round will be the May 1st application deadline, again, a 3-week turnaround, and then reply at the beginning of June. And this really sets the stage for you to start thinking about the program in July, and that's when we'll usually have our first webinar and our first launch of the new class. It's an exciting time.
Yeah, once you are accepted, then we start working together even after the couple of weeks after the admission. Yeah.
So one question was, if you don't get in round one, are you able to apply to round two? Unfortunately, no, it's one or the other. So you would just be able to apply to one. We wouldn't necessarily consider the same application again. It's not possible to apply within the system for two times.
But maybe, I mean, you will be in the waiting list, right? So maybe that you apply to November the 1st, and then in some cases, then we, put the applicant in the waiting list, and then we will make our decision on May the 1st.
Yep. And then just jumping into questions along the way. So one question was asked, how do you determine your interest between the Master of Engineering or the Master of Applied Science? Yeah. So at the application level, we don't ask for your interest in either of these. It's really, there's a lot that goes into developing what a potential thesis topic would be. So at the application level, we don't ask this question. You're welcome to put this in your proposal and in your video statement if you know that you are interested in the Masters of Engineering and the thesis track. But that process doesn't get underway until July, where then we explain the full thesis process, which includes an extensive thesis proposal, securing a research advisor, presenting your project. So there's a lot of steps that go along the way that we feel were best decided after the class is determined, so we can accommodate everyone.
And actually, then you will propose your thesis, right? It does not mean that we will accept it, because then we have different requirements for a thesis project versus a thesis project in the Master of Engineering versus a capstone project in the Master of Applied Science, right? The program is better prepared for Master of Applied Science, just to work in industry, right? But if you want to focus more on research, you can do it. But again, the idea is that you will submit your thesis proposal, research thesis proposal, we will review in a committee, and then we will accept it. It includes the different requirements.
So yeah, just a few more questions. The last slide was just for questions, so we're happy to answer them here as well. One question was, if you don't feel that you're ready to apply, if you took the CFX exam in September, but you still think you need a little bit more time, we understand as well. So we will still obviously consider applications in May. The intent of having the November possibility was if you're ready to go right after the CFX, you can launch into that. Also, we have applicants from the past, or potential applicants from the past 3 years who have taken the CFX exam and have the MicroMasters. So they're encouraged to apply in that first round as well.
Yeah, if you already took your MicroMaster certificate 1 year ago, yeah, so then we encourage you to apply in November, right? But if you want to prepare better your research proposal, interact with us about your questions, then okay, then you can apply to May the 1st. Yeah. The benefit of applying November the 1st is that, okay, we have, a little bit more time just to review the applications. And then once you have been selected, then you can better plan your year for joining us here at MIT.
And then one other great question is, if you apply to multiple scale centers, so our center in Zaragoza,
that we encourage you to apply.
Yeah. Will the decisions be synced? That is absolutely our goal this year. We all have the same November 1st deadline, and we all plan to release our decisions at the same time so that you can have a whole picture of where you would apply. If you're applying to both a blended and residential program, the residential programs will also be synced with their deadlines on their schedule as well in round 2, which is for residential students only.
But it's true that each center make their own decisions about the admission, right? Yeah, just for you to know that we cannot, sometimes we receive questions, so then, okay, I don't know if I will be accepted to, one of the scale centers, I don't know if I'll be accepted to center. So, again, each center makes their own decisions.
Yeah. And then one more question was, if you applied in previous rounds and you didn't make it into our class in previous years, can you still apply? Yes, we'll always review an application again from students who have the MicroMasters. If you have some specific questions about your application or what areas that you might need to focus on, feel free to reach out to us at scmb@mit.edu, and we'll be happy to respond to any questions that you might have. to see if it's the best fit.
And we encourage you to highlight what are the main developments that you have achieved during this period of time, right? This will be easier just to understand your case.
Yep. So yeah, any other questions that come up? I think we're going to wrap up the webinar here.
Yeah.
But we look forward to reviewing your applications in the coming months. And as always, we'll be here. You can visit our website at scm.mit.edu. We'll answer any emails that you might have, and we look forward again to reviewing.
And also, if you visit Boston, please, visit us, have a conversation with us. We are glad to know more about you, about your interests, your motivations, and of course, we will be willing to receive your visit here. Yeah. Thank you very much for all your attention, your questions, your motivation, and then we will encourage you to apply. The sooner the better, November the 1st or May the 1st.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much. Bye.